Jarrad Branthwaite, a player which you guys have probably heard me speaking about on several different occasions over the course of the season so far. Why have I been talking about him so much? Well, because the 21-year-old Englishman is one of the best young centre-back talents in the world. And guess what? He is now actually being linked with a move to Manchester United. So I've mentioned him briefly before, spoken about some of his strengths and weaknesses. But I think today it's time we take a bit of a deeper dive. He gets his own video, so let's take a look at what he would bring to the side. And we'll start off with a Data MB report. If you want to check out Data MB, there will be a link in the description down below, a great website for comparing different players, and they also have an app as well, so make sure to check it out. What we can see here with Jarrad Branthwaite is that he is unbelievably good from a defensive point of view in his duels. The aerial duel percentage is pretty good, but the duel percentage in terms of defensive duels, he's right up there with the very best in the Premier League at the moment, and of course defensive actions as well. Now you may look at some of that in possession stuff and be a little bit concerned, but we've got to remember he plays for a Sean Dyche side which don't exactly dominate possession. So I'm not too worried about those on the ball stats, and we will come back onto that towards the end of the video. For the start of the video though, I want to talk about him from a defensive point of view, because for me, he is so good defensively. And one of the reasons he is so good defensively is because physically, he is a real specimen. He's tall, he's strong, he's very, very quick, and in general, just an incredibly athletic footballer who has the base and the foundation to be almost whatever he wants as a centre-back. That physical base means that he could be moulded into several different types of centre-back. For example, we've seen already for Everton this season that he can be strong, he can be aggressive, he can be front-footed in a tackle. So let's say, a player here is playing the ball into the striker. He is the sort of player who has the reading of the play and the agility and the speed to get there, to get in front of a player, win the ball back for his side, and then play a nice simple pass to someone. So he's really good at that. At the same time, he is more than capable of letting his teammate do that. Let's say his teammate might go a little bit tighter, the ball gets rolled in here, perhaps his teammate gets spun into this area. Jarrad Branthwaite then has the reading of the play, but also importantly the recovery pace to get across and play as that covering defender sweeping up behind his teammate to once again win the ball back for his side. But it doesn't just stop there, because he is also incredibly good at defending out wide. So, these big channels of space. In modern day football we see fullbacks either high and wide or inverted into midfield, but they do leave spaces in these areas. Branthwaite is literally perfect for covering these situations. Now when you're in these situations from a defensive point of view, it's all about trying to be in control, and the attacker's trying to do the exact same thing. You want to be in control of the opposition player in this 1 versus 1 battle. Whether you are in or out of possession, that's the whole idea here, because there is that big amount of space which you can attack or defend, depending on what way you're looking at it. Branthwaite is really good at controlling these situations, and one of the reasons why he is so good is because of his stride length. Now, stride length is of course I'm referencing his ability to, really motor down the side of the pitch, but also his ability to adjust his stride length. So when the opposition kind of slow their dribble down, which a lot of players do, Branthwaite is really good at kind of making his steps smaller, so he's matching the forward. What this means is that when the forward then changes direction or accelerates, because Branthwaite has matched their stride length, he's then really good at also adjusting to their new stride length and keeping up with them. So they might turn inside, Branthwaite has the ability to turn with them, then put a foot in and make the tackle. But also, if the winger wants to take a big touch and really fly down the outside, Branthwaite is more than capable of matching this as well. So he's really good in these wide areas. For me, one of the most exciting young defenders in terms of the ability to cover wide space, which is really impressive. What's also impressive is that he can do it on the other side as well. Now, he is a left-footed defender, but he can also defend on the right-hand side. Now, I, of course, prefer him on the left. Things come more naturally to him. However, when he does play on the right-hand side, he is more than comfortable defending with his right foot as well, and I think that's really important. He has an ability to defend with either foot, which means he doesn't have massive angle bias. Now, what I mean by this is some left-footed defenders are only good when the player's on their left-hand side, defensively, because it's on their left foot. Some, when they are right-foot defenders, are only good when the ball is on their right-hand side, because, again, it's more natural to tackle with the right foot. Branthwaite is a player who can cover both sides of that, because he's two-footed, both defensively and also in possession. And then, importantly also, he is a good box defender as well. Good in the box, although his headering numbers have gone down a little bit, but, we are in an extremely physical league, he is still very young, he can develop that. But in general, he's got good box defence, good reading of the play, he uses his long legs to get blocks on the shot, he can throw his body in front of a shot, but also head the ball away, and things like that. And we've got a load of clips here of some of his defensive work so far this season, and it covers, a few of his different strengths. So first of all, we've got his ability to defend a large space out wide. We can see how much space there is here. And basically, the forward is thinking, I need to manipulate Branthwaite to get him off balance so I can attack this space. Branthwaite is thinking, I need to keep this guy nice and close the whole time so he can't attack the space. So they're both in a battle with each other. And Branthwaite wins these battles more often than not. Again, you can see the sort of area which he is covering. The amount of ground he's covering is absolutely ridiculous. We can extend this all the way over here because Tarkowski in the middle isn't exactly blessed with recovery pace. So Branthwaite is trying to control a large space here. And he does exactly that. And the way he does this, like I said already, is by matching the stride length with his opponent. So what we can see here is that the winger has actually slowed down a little bit. Now the idea behind this as a winger is if I slow down, the centre-back slows down with me, then when I speed up I can just zoom away from them. Branthwaite's very aware of this though, so he slows his stride length to match the forward, but then, as the forward accelerates, Branthwaite is capable of doing the exact same. And we can see that stride length is now adjusted, he's now got a much bigger stride length, which is going to allow him to cover a lot of ground in this wide area, and then be incredibly strong in the tackle, put the opponent to the floor and win the ball for his side. But that isn't his only way of defending. Like I've said already, he can kind of nip in and read the play and be more front-footed, rather than covering space in behind. So here we've got a game against Brighton, and Brighton have got the ball here in the middle, and we can see Branthwaite just kind of watch him play at the moment, just assessing things, and we can see the striker here, Evan Ferguson, going to make a move. Now what Branthwaite does is he gets himself into a position where he can read the play. He's side on, he's ready to come and defend this area, because he knows there's nothing going on behind him. Now this pass is a little short from the opposition, but it allows Branthwaite to step in and read the play, be aggressive, and win the ball back for his side, and then from here he can use his left foot or his right foot to play out from trouble and move the ball forward. Again, it's really good. If we go back to a situation where he's covering wide spaces, this is just brilliant. Solanke is a really good ball carrier, but also a very strong player. Very tall, strong, again, athletic himself, maybe not the quickest, but he dominates large spaces like this. Branthwaite, though, doesn't let him do that. Branthwaite gets over, covers him, again, stride for stride really, and then goes in with a big, crunching tackle. Now, perhaps this tendency to go into big tackles could also be a problem at times in his career. You know, if you go to ground too early, you can be beaten quite easily. But from what I've seen so far, he nearly always gets it right. He nearly always gets it right when he goes in for these big slide tackles. Again, using his upper body strength as he goes in, but also those long legs to nick the ball away from the opposition. And, you know, I could go through these clips all day. We've got different examples of different things here. So here we've got the forward, the Palace midfielder is going to try and pass into his forward. And we can see Branthwaite once again in this side-on position. Now the ball's going to go through, and this is actually more the job of his other centre-back to deal with this. Tarkowski should be a little bit tighter because he can see the back of the striker's shirt. The ball goes in. Tarkowski doesn't really deal with it, he gets turned. But again, look at Branthwaite, the stride length and the readiness to get behind and cover his defender. Most United defenders, because they aren't most athletic, wouldn't get here, and the Palace striker would actually get a shot off at goal. But that doesn't happen because of Branthwaite's athleticism, but also his reading of the play and willingness to throw himself in front of the ball to win the ball for his side. Again, it's just absolutely brilliant. And then this clip is really impressive, and I just want to focus on one particular thing here. The stride length is an absolute joke. Having this monster hunting you down when you've got the ball on the dribble must be pretty terrifying. And one of the reasons is because you know he's going to be super strong, super aggressive in the tackle. So from a defensive point of view, there is a lot to like about Branthwaite. And in terms of how he ranks with other players in the Premier League, really well. So in terms of up and down here, we've got the amount of defensive duels he's competing in per 90. And then along the bottom, we've got the percentage of those which he is winning. Branthwaite is over there, that pink circle. Really, really good. Only two centre-backs in the Premier League are winning a higher percentage of their duels. It's ridiculous. Branthwaite is so good in the duel. But importantly, he's also good on the ball as well. Good on the ball. Now, as I've alluded to in recent weeks, he's good on the ball without being elite. So why is that? Well, the reason I think he's good on the ball is because he is two-footed. Like he was with his defending, he's also two-footed on the ball. And again, that removes angle bias. Again, left-footed players like to play on their left, right-footed players like to play on their right. Branthwaite can use either foot, which means it almost literally doubles the passing angles he has available to him, because he's much more comfortable using the ball on either foot, and it makes it a lot easier for him to manipulate the ball, but also manipulate the opposition. If I'm a pressing striker, and I'm going towards Branthwaite, I don't know what way to try and force him as such, because he's good with either foot. Sometimes you'll have a player here who so clearly wants to go on their left foot, that you force them the other way onto their right, and then they're going to be quite poor, and you can nick the ball. But that isn't the case with Branthwaite. Because he is so good with both feet, he makes it so much more difficult to press him. He's so much more difficult to press because Branthwaite can manipulate the angle and, like I've said, basically double the amount of passes that he has available to him. It's really impressive. Now, the reason I say he's good but not elite is because of what he doesn't do on the ball as such. And one of the things he doesn't do is always, be super progressive with his passing. Now again, perhaps that's because he plays for an Everton side which don't dominate the ball, aren't always looking to break lines in the middle. They tend to be, a bit more direct in the way that they play at times. Much faster paced football, less reliance on the centre-backs being progressive. So maybe that's the reason for Branthwaite. Maybe he has it in his locker, but we just haven't seen it yet. Not too sure. In terms of what he has got in his locker, technical and pass empathy. Now what I mean by this is that when he's passing the ball to his teammate, you're not going to receive a horror pass or a hospital pass. He takes into consideration the foot of the player that he is passing to, but also the weight of pass that is needed. So he's not someone who is constantly going to leave it 3 yards short of his teammate and get his teammate in trouble. Not the sort of player to do that, so he's good on the ball in that aspect. In terms of where I'd like to see him improving, carrying the ball forward. I'd like to see a more confident player who is willing to take the ball in these areas and stride forward past the opposition. Now, one of the reasons I'd like to see this is because I think he has the potential and the capability to do it. Again, having that absolutely massive frame, but also the ability to use either foot, could potentially allow him to be a really good ball carrier. Out from the back, striding forward into midfield, particularly higher up the pitch. I definitely think that's something he could do. Now, at the moment when he does this, he does for the first time show a bit of one-footedness. He tends to only really use his left foot, which makes him a little bit predictable and a bit easier to trap as he steps forward with the ball. So that's certainly an area that I would like to see him improve in his game. But overall, he is a really good player on the ball, and I think he's one of those players where if he was to get a move to a bigger club and more of a ball-playing club, can we class Manchester United as that? I think United want to be that. If he was to play in a side which wants more of the ball, wants more possession, and is trying to progress the play through the lines and things like that, I think we would then see him take his in-possession game to the next level. And if you suddenly do that, boy oh boy, you could have a wonderful player on your hands, because we've already seen it defensively. He has all the tools that he needs to make it to the top level. If he can, of course, mature and improve his decision making and things like that, improve a little bit in the air at times, then you've got yourself defensively an incredible player. If you can then add to that someone who is comfortable on the ball, which he is, but then also someone who can progress the ball, stride forward into midfield or fire passes through the lines, then you could have yourself an incredible talent. And that's why I would really like to see him signed for Manchester United. Now obviously there is the whole Lisandro Martinez issue. What would happen there? I'm not too sure. Could we see a tactical role change for Lisandro Martinez? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. But if you want a player who is physically going to take your team up a level and, raise the floor physically of your side, Jarrad Branthwaite is definitely the sort of player that's going to do that. He is definitely going to do that for his team. The problem is, he would cost a lot of money. Now, his contract was actually expiring next summer, but just a few months ago he's extended his contract with Everton, which means he's going to be difficult to get. Only 21 years old, so a lot of years ahead of him. English, so the fact that he's a homegrown talent will up his price, and also the fact that he plays in the Premier League. However, Everton do have a few financial troubles, so they might be forced to kind of sell some of their big players in the summer. I think you'd be looking at around £60 million to bring Jarrad Branthwaite into the club. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Is that good value for money? Is that something that Manchester United should be pursuing? Or probably not? Let me know what you think. I think if you are trying to build a centre-back pairing, a new centre-back pairing for the next 10 years, Branthwaite is the left-sided defender that you go and get. He can even play left-back if you need him to in the meantime, because we've seen that in recent weeks for Everton. He can also play right centre-back, so he can play a few different roles. It would be interesting to see how he would be used with Lisandro Martinez also at the club. So like I said, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Perhaps you think he's a really good player who could absolutely play for Manchester United, but perhaps it just isn't right because of Lisandro Martinez and also because of the cost. I think that's probably where I'm at right now, but that might change by the end of the season. I'm certainly going to be watching him a lot more over the course of the second half of the season. He's been a joy to watch so far, and I'm sure he's going to keep improving. I recommend that you guys watch him as well, because he is a really good player to watch. Apart from that though, we are finished for today's video. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel whilst you're here, and also leave a like on the video. But that's that. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.